All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Southern Discomfort. I am your host with the ghost, the paranormal pastor, Ezekiel Kincade, and I have Miss Vickie with me up here tonight.
Hi, everybody.
So, we're going to let everybody hop on chat for a little bit and say their hellos while we say our hellos back.
Are you in chat? I'm not saying it. Are you seeing anything on chat?
Let me get on there. Hold on. One second.
Oh, there's Myers. Okay. Hi, Myers. Yep.
Okay. Good. That saves me from having to do it. All right. Myers is here.
Okay. Yay. All right. And then.
All right. I see you. Hey, Myers. Hey, Dustin.
Oh, that's me. So Dustin is driving. Yep. So I'm answering for PPR right now. Dustin.
You even tricked me.
I know. I'm sorry. I was trying to see if I could do it. So Dustin is actually driving, and he's on his way home. So he's going to be probably about 30 minutes into this, and then he'll be able to jump on.
All right. Hey, Kristen. Welcome.
Welcome.
So, yeah, I know I had kind of told everybody we might be doing an investigation tonight, but the rain here ruined that. So we're going to have to put that off. Just the joys of living in southern Louisiana. So, hey, PW. Oh, we're glad you made it, PW.
Yes. Oh, she had a bad day at work. I'm sorry.
We're going to have to cheer her up.
Yeah, we're going to send you lots of loves and hugs.
So we got PW, Myers, and Kristen with us so far.
Okay.
And Vickie pretending to be Dustin. Zeke Sensei. Thank you, Mike. So yeah, that is Vickie in chat pretending to be Dustin. I see people saying, "Hey, Dustin."
PW, you're always special, honey. Yep, I'm pretending to be Dustin. Dustin's on his way home. He's driving. He just left my house. So I think he's probably about another 30 minutes out.
All right.
From his house. Granted, I don't know what he's going to get into when he gets to his house, but.
We'll see if he'll hop on here.
I hope so.
And we are still waiting to find out on Octagon Hall tickets.
We are. He was working on it all day yesterday. Gave himself a migraine. I think he's going to try and go through GoDaddy and remove a ticket through there or something.
Yeah.
So bless his heart. We went up there and spent some time with Bear and around Octagon for a while. We had a good time. And so anyways, he was working on that. And he's trying to get the whole ticket thing. That's the only thing that we're waiting on is being able to purchase the tickets through the site.
Yeah. And I know, like, if you don't have that set up on your site, it takes some work to get it added on there.
Yeah, and they had a thing that they had that was normal, that was all the time, but it was an older version, and now they came in and redid the whole thing, and they can't even get that anymore.
Yes.
Don't you just love that?
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be a job and it wouldn't be work if your new system you got didn't create more hassle than the old system. Like every time to transition, it's going to be a masterful headache. So
Yep. Yep. Let's see. Myers, thank you, honey. He says, I've been checking every hour.
Yeah.
I know. We can't wait for y'all to come up too, honey.
I think I know I've been checking too like crazy, Myers.
I know. I have too. And I've got Bear on speed dial.
But yeah, as soon as that happens, we're going to let y'all know.
Yes, we will make an instant live
There you go.
Update. We will. So go ahead and tell them again about tonight.
So yeah, tonight we are going to just continue our look at Satan. We're going to jump into the intertestamental period. We're going to hold off on doing any investigation. It's too wet here, especially at the place that I had wanted to go. So we're going to have to postpone that for another time. So we're going to just kind of pick back up with what we've been doing and been talking about on the show. We're getting towards the end of this study. So y'all have been some major troopers trotting along on this journey as we have taken a very in-depth look at supernatural beings in the Old Testament, intertestamental period. After tonight, we'll just have the New Testament to go over, and then we will be done with this study. I mean, gosh, we've talked about sons of God, watchers, Rephium, Nephilim, demons, fallen angels, cherubim, seraphim, Azazel. Gosh, I mean, we're looking at Satan more tonight. We've looked at howling creatures. We've looked at Lilith. I don't think we've left one stone unturned on this journey. So
I know that's right.
Welcome,
Files. I know you've hit like all the major highlights, and it's been wonderful. So whether I'm on panel or just in chat, just to listen, it's been awesome. So, go ahead.
I do have all of this stuff written out, and I need to put it in articles. I'm still going to do that. I'm going to put it on the Southern Discomfort site. Once I go through all these notes again and organize it better and actually put it in article form, and I'm going to start putting that stuff up there so it will be there available anytime you want to go back and refresh it. I'll have it all in one place for y'all.
Oh, that's awesome.
I
like that.
Because I know sometimes it's hard to keep up with the videos in the order, and then on the site, I mean, you'll just be able to go on there and
but if you're studying and research, it'll allow you to backtrack, and I like that. That's awesome, Zeke.
Yeah, anything to make this information more easily accessible, because that's the thing, it's not easily accessible. And so if I can get something out there for y'all, that will help.
That's Dustin.
The real Dustin's on.
That's the real Dustin.
The real Dustin.
And the real Dustin, please stand up.
Then we got the real Dustin, and then we got AI bot Vickie.
I know. Here you go.
Oh yeah. Yep. We did talk about Key of Solomon and looking at that. Yeah, y'all, there's so much more we're going to get into in the course of this show. Like this was just like the pilot episode, all this study that we've done just to get people's feet wet. I mean, I still have stuff planned on going through that. We're going to get into hauntings. We're going to get into a psychic phenomenon and investigating and looking at that as well. If you kind of remember, we touched on that in the past when we had the episodes on quantum physics and how it can explain the science behind different paranormal and psychic phenomenon. And so we're going to jump into looking at those phenomenons in more specific details as well. So, you know, we may take one whole show and do it, you know, specifically on telekinesis, and take a whole show doing on poltergeists, you know, so we've got a lot more coming. So y'all just brace yourselves, because we're just getting started here with Southern Discomfort.
All right. Say hi, Kindred.
Hey, Kindred. Hey, look at our new kitty cat. This is Eden.
That's who?
Eden, like Garden of Eden.
I love it. Hi, sweetheart.
You'll be hearing her whine.
That's okay.
She talks a lot.
She's very, very vocal, aren't you? You gonna talk for everybody? Her main interest is trying to walk across my keyboard. It's just innate in cats. Like, my other cat does it. He can't wait. He loves to see me sitting up here. Like, if I'm in my bed at night trying to watch a movie or research or write. Chief is our other cat. He's a white and black tuxedo. He's like 18 pounds of massive cutie cat, and he just kind of struts himself on up in there, kind of walks by, looks at me, looks at my computer, and then just psh. I'm like, bruh, that's fighting right there.
Brother jumped on Nurse Justin.
All right.
He's driving.
I'm driving. Thank you, Vickie, for helping out Zeke.
Yep.
He
There's
has
Dustin. Cockpit view from Dustin.
Yeah, but Zeke had it. He was doing good. You'd have been proud of him.
Good.
Yeah, we got it kicked off, man.
And hey,
okay.
Kindred, I just wanted to pop on and say thank you to Vickie and say hi to Zeke and let Vickie know on my exit now. So
Awesome.
I got about another 35 minutes and I'll be home.
Just be careful.
Yeah, be safe, man. Yeah.
All right,
Go ahead, Dustin. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm gonna be getting ready to go down through some howlers and down some mountains and up the mountains again. So I just wanted to hop on and let Vickie know I made it here safe so far, and let you all know hi. And thank you, Kindred, for coming in, and everybody. Thank you for showing love to Zeke, and thank you, Vickie, so much for helping make sure Zeke got up okay.
You're welcome, brother. Myers, be careful.
All right. Much love, everybody.
Love you, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, who did I miss? Kindred, hello. Yeah, PW. I know Brandon wanted to come and give some of his insight. So we'll
be cool.
Getting all that set up for sure.
Yeah, I like Brendan. I love the way his mind thinks.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait to have him back up here. Well, y'all, it's about that time. We're going to go ahead and start getting things kicked off. Just before we do, just a reminder to everybody, I've got a new Southern Discomfort story that dropped last week called Tetramet Rising. You can pick that up for 50 cents on Godless. I also have my Johnny Walker Ranger books are on Godless too for a discounted price. So you can hop on there and get those for next to nothing if you do ebooks. Godless is definitely the place to go because they have such good prices on everything, way better than Kindle for Amazon. I'm still working on getting the paperback edition of Johnny Volume 2 up. It's just been one hoop after another with Amazon to jump through, finding something wrong with something in the book. So as soon as that is up, I'll let everybody know when the paperback is available. But I will have all of those at Octagon Hall when I go.
Yay!
So just hopefully we can get. I've been trying to get it up for about the paperback edition up for about a week now, and it's giving me headaches with Amazon. But we'll get there. We shall get there. So tonight we are going to be jumping back into everybody's favorite bad guy, the devil, Satan. And we're going to be looking a little more in depth about his development in the intertestamental period, or you've heard me refer to that on the show and on Sunday nights as Second Temple Judaism. That is the time period between the Old Testament and New Testament, roughly 300 BC to about 70 AD, when the temple was destroyed by the Romans. And it was during this time period that there was a lot of demonology and angelology that was developed in the Hebrew culture. And what you find in this time period is the writers, for example, Enoch, the book of Enoch that we're going through is a work during this time period. The book of Jubilees, book of Giants, War Scrolls. You have some other wisdom books that were written in this time. It's a ton of stuff. But what you see with these writers is they draw from the Old Testament, but they take some interpretive liberties with some things, and they develop and expound on some things, and then they also just make stuff up. And we're going to see that, especially when it comes to this understanding of Satan. And for those of you who are first joining us, just to kind of recap what we've talked about up until this point when it comes to Satan as a literal figure, as a literal arch enemy of God, as we know him today, as he's presented in the New Testament. When we go back to the Old Testament, we never see the term Satan used as a proper name for anybody. There's no one arch enemy of God named Satan in the Old Testament. We've looked at the Hebrew behind that, why that is so, and how this term Satan is just a title, and it could mean an accuser or an opposer. And it's used as the Satan figure in the book of Job, who's part of the divine council, who goes back and forth looking to test people on the earth. You have this accuser also in some of the prophets, where he stands before the throne of God, accusing the high priest of being sinful and not worthy of his position. So every time that we see the name Satan used, it's not used as a proper name for anybody. It's a role that an angel or a supernatural being or a human can take on. And so that's what we have in the Old Testament. There's no one arch enemy of God. You have several angelic rebellions, which we've looked at in Genesis 6 and in Deuteronomy 32 with the sons of God, or watchers, as we know them to be called in Second Temple Judaism in the book of Enoch. And so we don't have this arch nemesis figure, but that begins to change when we get into Second Temple Judaism, and when we get into books like First Enoch, Jubilees, War Scrolls, Book of the Giants, all these other things. We see this idea developing of this chief adversary of God. And it's a new development that takes place. Second Temple writers during this time period, they weren't uniformed in their thinking. So just like, you have a bunch of different denominations in Christianity today, it was kind of like that in Second Temple Judaism. Obviously, you didn't have as many different sects, but you had different lines of thinking. There wasn't this uniform theology. And this is especially seen when it comes to a Satan figure or an arch nemesis of God. You had different writers following different streams of thought. And that's what we're going to look at tonight, is Satan and his development in this Second Temple Judaism. And some of this, for those of you who have been watching on Sunday nights, you're going to have heard some of this before, because we are going to touch base a little bit on Azazel, who is the chief arch nemesis in the book of Enoch. And so that's going to come up. So there will be some stuff a lot of you regulars will have already heard. But I am going to repeat it just for the sake of, I know we've got new folks coming in, and I don't want them to feel totally lost when we're talking about this type of stuff. I want to make sure that everybody is tracking with us. So by the time Second Temple Judaism starts, we're going to go ahead and just start with the book of Enoch. And you've heard me mention the Dead Sea Scrolls, which were discovered in the late 1940s in a cave in Qumran. And they had all of these copies of the Old Testament. They also had a lot of these other books from Second Temple Judaism. And so scholars were able to study that and to really glean a lot of the theological developments for angels and demons and other supernatural beings during this time period. I'm also be reading some quotes for you from different scholars, some of their stuff that I have found insightful and helpful in helping us understand this. But one of the things we looked at with the book of Enoch is that this idea of Satan, the word Satan in the Old Testament, it's never used to refer to the snake in the garden. If y'all remember, a couple of weeks ago, we went over what the serpent was and how they would have understood him in the ancient Near East as this kind of chaos creature, but he still wasn't seen as the main arch nemesis of God. This begins to come along later. So Satan is never used of the serpent in the Old Testament, and Satan is never used as a proper name. But during Second Temple Judaism, these things begin to change. What happens, and what scholars have kind of pieced together, is you have this section in Job where the Satan, the accuser, the opposer, is at the divine council. He's presenting things to God, and God says, "Where have you been?" And the Satan says, "I've been walking to and fro the earth." And they get in this debate, and Job's name comes up. But what happens in Second Temple Judaism is this Satan figure in Job begins to move to more of not just the title, but actually becoming this being in and of himself, that whoever is playing this role as Satan, whatever angel, whatever son of God is playing this role of the Satan in Job, in Second Temple Judaism, he actually begins to take on that particular name as the Satan. And you see this type of development in the book of Enoch, where we have all of the watchers who have fallen. They're referred to as Satans in the plural. Azazel is referred to as the chief Satan. So we can see in Enoch that Satan is moving from not just a title, but now it's being taken and it's starting to be used as a category of angels. So Satan's are being in the book of Enoch are being used to refer to the sons of God who were fallen and who went in opposition of God's natural order with going and sleeping with the daughters of men. They went against God's order of teaching the people forbidden knowledge. So they began to take on the name Satan moves from a title to more of a classification of angels here in the book of Enoch. It's also used to refer to Azazel, that he is the chief of the Satans. He is the chief Satan. So Azazel here in Second Temple Judaism is kind of being groomed as this main arch nemesis of God figure. But they still haven't made all the connections that the New Testament writers do. Satan is still not connected with the serpent in Genesis chapter 2 and 3 in any way. In fact, for those of you who have been watching on Sunday nights, you will remember that we said in the book of Enoch, they actually refer to another watcher, different than Azazel, who is connected to the serpent in the garden. So you can start to see they're making all of these connections. They just haven't come and been condensed into one supernatural being. Just a couple other things I want to read to you. These are some verses from the Dead Sea Scrolls. And in these verses, the word Satan is used. And I want to read to you, because this just gives further idea of their development and how this term was being formulated in the meaning they were ascribing to it. So the Hebrew term Satan occurs 6 other times in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and they all lack the definite article. And so what that means is that it can be referring to something more. Every time we see like a definite article like the Satan, it's referring to a role. One verse from the Dead Sea Scrolls says, every adversary of holiness, or every Satan of holiness. Another verse says, every destroying and murderous adversary, or every destroying and murderous Satan. Every adversary and destroyer, or every Satan and destroyer, is another verse. Another one talks about having neither a Satan nor evil. Another verse talks about there being no Satan or no adversary coming out. And then there is a prayer that says, do not let a Satan or Satan rule over me, nor an evil spirit. So we're seeing this development here of Satan, the name, taking on a type of category, or in this last verse that I read, let not an adversary or a Satan rule over me, nor an evil spirit. Dead Sea Scroll scholars are actually up in the air of how this should be interpreted, because the language, this could be interpreted as a classification of spirits. Do not let a Satan rule over me, or it could be translated as a proper name. Do not let Satan rule over me. And it's just kind of up in the air about which one of these is correct, because scholars say it could be translated either way. So the Satan term definitely has some flexibility there. There is some other interesting things from the book of Enoch. I've touched on this before. I think I'm just going to go ahead and repeat it, just to be safe. You just give me 1 second.
While you do that, I'm going to say welcome, winner, and welcome. Hold on, let me get up here. forget who it was. Go ahead.
Okay. But yeah, in Enoch, Azazel is that main Satan figure. He is not the only one ascribed to this role in Second Temple Judaism. We're going to see that this Satan figure also begins to take on some other different names in different writings during this time period. So Enoch, the Enochian tradition, is that Azazel is this main type of Satan figure. When we get into some of the other writings here, we're going to see that the trajectory changes a little bit. We have this Satan figure in some other text, but he goes by different names. One such name is Mastema. And I'm trying to find which verse I actually want to start with.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Have you ever heard the name Gaol?
Gaol?
Yeah.
I
got it this weekend on my Spirit Talker, and I didn't know. That's why while you was pausing, it just popped into my while you was naming these crazy names.
Did you happen to look it up or anything yet?
No, not yet. It just popped in my head, and no, I hadn't had a chance to do that yet. But I thought while you was naming those names, it popped in my head, and I thought, well, I'll ask Zeke if he's heard of it.
Yeah, no, I have not heard that term. So the term Mastema, when we look in Jubilees chapter 10, this chapter is set after the flood. Jubilees has a lot of similarities to Enoch. It deals a lot with some of the same events. And we have Noah's sons, the fathers, grandchildren. They're all being targeted by demons after the flood. And Noah prays, this is in Jubilees, "O Lord, you know that which your watchers, the fathers of these spirits," right? Y'all remember what we looked at in Enoch, that the watchers were the fathers of the Nephilim. When the Nephilim died, their spirits became the unclean spirits, the demon spirits that we know in the New Testament. So Jubilees also is going with this line of belief. And so he talks about the watchers, the fathers of these spirits. These spirits are referring to the unclean spirits of the Nephilim. The fathers of these spirits did in my days, and also these spirits who are alive. Shut them up and take them to the place of judgment, and do not let them cause corruption among the sons of your servant. Oh my God, because they are cruel and were created to destroy. And let them not rule over the spirits of the living, because you alone know their judgment. And do not let them have power over the children of the righteous, henceforth and forever. So God responds to this by instructing the archangels to bind the evil spirits, but then is approached by the ruler of these evil spirits with a request. So listen to this. It goes on to say, "And the Lord our God spoke to us," referring to the archangels, "so that we might bind all of them. And the chief of the spirits, Mastema, came and said, O Lord, Creator, leave some of them before me, and let them obey my voice, and let them do everything which I tell them. Because if some of them are not left for me, I will not be able to exercise the authority of my will among the children of men, because they are intended to corrupt and lead astray before my judgments, because the evil of the Son of Man is great." And Mastema goes on to say, let 1/10 of them remain before me. So God grants him that request. So here we have Mastema as presented as the prince, as the chief over evil spirits. So in Jubilees, Mastema is the one who is seen more of this Satan ruling figure over all of the unclean spirits. Another place in the Dead Sea Scrolls, I'm going to save you. It's pretty much a repeat. Okay, all you need to know is that Mastema was just another term used throughout this. Now, Satan, Azazel, Mastema, they are still not the most common term used in Second Temple Judaism for the chief rebel of God. That name is Belial. So Belial is the most common name or title used in Second Temple Judaism for the Prince of Darkness. He is the main name used in the Dead Sea Scrolls and in the Pseudepigrapha, which is all the collection of all of these Second Temple Judaism texts. They put them in one book and they call it the Pseudepigrapha. Belial is the most common name. I want to read you a quote here by a scholar. He says, Belial is called the angel of wickedness, the ruler of this world. And he's giving list of scriptures from all the different Dead Sea Scrolls and Pseudepigrapha works. He is the head of the demonic powers. In dualistic fashion, his law and will are described as being set over against the law and will of the Lord. His way is one of darkness as opposed to light. Belial's angels are set over against the angels of the Lord. He is master of the spirits of error. He is called the angel of enmity, who is the prince of the kingdom of wickedness. He heads the forces of darkness, often called the armies or troops or lot of Belial. He leads them against the sons of light or the lot of God. All the spirits of his lot, the angels of destruction, walk according to the precepts of darkness, and towards them is their desire altogether. The reign or dominion of Belial occurs frequently in the Qumran material, and he lists a whole bunch of other passages of scriptures where the term Belial is used as this chief entity set up against God. Some places we even see Belial and Mastema used interchangeably. There's one particular verse in the War Scrolls where Belial is found parallel with Mastema as kind of referring to the same entity. This passage says, you created Belial for the pit, the angel Mastema in his domain is in darkness, his counsel is for evil and wickedness. And so the way that this is set up in the language, Belial and Mastema are referring to the same entity here. Now, Second Temple Judaism doesn't ever really come out and say Satan or the Satan or a Satan was the serpent in the garden. They never make that connection. Now they make the connection with some other type of angelic beings, and we can see some ideas starting to swirl around in several texts where they're starting to make this connection as this serpent being an opposer to God and something evil that has set itself up against God. But nowhere do they come outright and say, hey, the serpent in the Garden of Eden, this is Satan. this doesn't happen until the New Testament. But you can see the development in the leap that has happened. So Satan in the Old Testament goes to being just a title that or a role that a human or a supernatural being can fulfill. Then Second Temple Judaism, they take this term and it begins to develop into either a classification of wicked spirits, and then it begins to kind of evolve into its own entity. This Satan, there is one, this Belial, who is this arch nemesis, this Azazel, who is this arch nemesis. And then we see the role of the serpent in Second Temple Judaism start to take on a more sinister role as well. I'm going to save you from reading all of the different scriptures where that is. I will include a more detailed account of this in the articles that I'll be writing and putting up on the site. That way you can like have those scripture references in front of you, that if you want to look them up and read them for yourself, that you'll be able to do that. So that is pretty much a brief summary of what we see happening in Second Temple Judaism. There's definitely some more complex nuances in language and stuff that's going on, but I try to take the highlights, break this down as simple as possible to kind of make it understandable so you can see the development that happens. So pretty much what you need to know, Satan starts to develop as this arch nemesis in Second Temple Judaism. They're not sure who it really is. Could be Azazel, could be Massima, could be Belial. What we're going to see in the New Testament, the only one of these names from Second Temple Judaism besides Satan that is carried over into the New Testament is Belial. Paul uses Belial as another name for Satan in the New Testament. Azazel doesn't get carried over into the New Testament, nor does Mastema. By the time we get to the New Testament, Satan, Belial, Beelzebub, the devil, these seem to be the main things. And we do see the term Diablos, devil, that is starting to take on a role in Second Temple Judaism. They speak of a Diablos as a Satan as well, as an enemy. So even there with the name Diablos, we can see some types of development starting to happen in their cognitive world, in their understanding, and all of this. And what we're going to see when we get into the New Testament, how just like Second Temple Judaism draws from the Old Testament and then makes some interpretive liberties, the New Testament is going to draw from the Old Testament and Second Temple Judaism and try to make sense of this information and help us interpret it and understand it as well. But that's where we're going to stop with the teaching part tonight. Going to open it up for any type of questions anybody might have. Or if you want me, if you didn't feel like I explained anything good enough and you want me to go back and maybe give some more detail or try to explain something better, just let me know. But we're open.
Come on, guys, post your questions. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to post I'm going to tag some statements and I'll let you read them. I'm going all the way to the top, brother.
All right. I'm going to scroll through too.
We went through all that. Here's this one. And then PW come back and answered it.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
And
An adversary.
yeah, so she answered that for you.
Yeah. Thank you, PW.
Let's see. And then PW made this comment.
Yes. It is definitely in the Old Testament. It is a title. And, in this intertestamental period, we're seeing it move more to a classification of something. Yeah. The Book of Enoch can be very confusing. Especially Enoch jumps around. He'll go back to the same events just from a different angle or from a different vision. And so it can get confusing because you feel like he's jumping all over the place, and he kind of is.
And look, Kindred answered me about that word, Gaol.
Yeah.
That's the British word for jail.
Oh.
Awesome. Thank you.
Now, where were you when you got that, Vickie?
Let me think. I believe I was in the kitchen, in the winter kitchen downstairs with Yvonne. I'm pretty sure that's where we was at, brother. It was either there or the barn, but I'm pretty sure it was in the kitchen. I'll have to go back and relook, though.
Interesting. Yes.
I know, right?
Yep. PW, yes. We mentioned Azazel when we look at the name or how it is used in Leviticus. It is definitely used as this. You have a goat on the Day of Atonement that is for Yahweh, and a goat that is to be for Azazel. He was seen to them as some sort of goat demon or not demon, but dark entity of the wilderness places.
There was a little fun fact PW put up. Oh, that was wild.
Yeah, y'all need to go to PW's Instagram. She writes these little snippets and stories about all kinds of different religious and spiritual entities and sigils and stuff. So she's got a lot of good information on her.
She's our bomb diggity PW. He's awesome. Now, she said he is Lucifer's second hand in command. I wasn't sure when she said it. I don't know if she was talking about Azazel or Belial, because that was in the time that y'all were discussing both of those.
Yeah, see, the books of Solomon take on a different demonology than what we have in Second Temple Judaism. And so what you have broken down in those books and how they refer to Satan, Belial, Massima is going to be different than what we see in Second Temple Judaism.
And then Kindred had a different take. I thought he had a.
Yeah. Now there is a branch of thought in Jewish theology and even some Christian theology that the serpent was Lilith. So that is definitely a belief that is out there for sure, Kindred.
Here's your question.
So Kindred, we discussed this. Was it last Tuesday? Yeah. We looked at, there's a passage of scripture in Isaiah chapter 14, and the Hebrew says like son of the morning or the day star. And in the context, that passage in Isaiah 14 is a rebuke and a judgment on a king. And what has happened is, especially when Jerome came along in the in the early church, and he wrote his Latin Vulgate. That Hebrew phrase, son of the morning, he translated it as a proper name, Lucifer, in Latin, which is light bearer. And so by his mistranslation of that, and then by taking Isaiah 14 to refer to the fall of Satan, instead of being applied to just a judgment on a king, what has happened is the name Lucifer developed for Satan, which should never be attributed to Satan in the first place, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Well,
it's...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was going to say because it's based off of a Latin mistranslation of the Hebrew phrase.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm so
No,
sorry.
you're good, Vickie. Go ahead. What you got?
I was going to welcome Miss Teresa in the house and
All right.
official first SPs in the house. One SP.
Welcome, official. Welcome, Teresa.
And let's see.
Glad y'all stopped in.
And Myers said, awesome job, Sensei.
Hi. Thank you, Myers.
Guys, y'all got any more questions?
And see, I'm just taking it like if y'all don't have questions, I'm just taking it that I just did such a fantastic job explaining everything that it was perfectly clear and your minds are perfectly content. I've fed your minds. You have no questions. That's how I'm going to take it.
What if we only have half a mind and you filled it up? My mind's pretty fried after this weekend.
Yeah.
Although I did think it was interesting. Like, I do think that it's extremely interesting that it keeps bouncing back and forth between these different names. And in one section, one person will read or write. It'll talk about Azazel being ahead of this. And then another section, it'll talk about Belial being ahead of this. And then you got, what was the Mufasa one?
Mastema.
That's it. That's the word. That's the word I was looking for. And then
Mufasa's Lion King.
Yeah. Mufasa. Sorry, my bad. But I only speak one language. That's country. So, but I mean, I do, like, if you sit and think about it, it's super crazy because you could literally list every direction as Satan. If you get and you study what they're over or what they're supposed to be, it's all what we link together as Satan role. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, and then poor little Lucifer, he's like lost out in Neverland. Like, I'm still waiting to see where he's coming in at.
Yeah. Lucifer takes on more of a role in the Goetia and some of the Wisdom of Solomon literature. But what in talking about all this stuff and us as paranormal investigators, one of the things to look at, and this is why I wanted to do this, is it really opens the door to what are demon spirits. When we come across demon spirits, what are we dealing with? For the longest time, we've been taught that they were inhuman spirits, that they were fallen angels. I'm of the belief in, all right, hold on, go back and see Emma.
Hello, Eden.
She's like, let me down.
You need a sissy.
in looking at, I know for me personally, in looking at what we've seen demon spirits are in the book of Enoch, the spirits of the Nephilim, and how that view was carried over into the New Testament. And you also had the view in the New Testament that demons could be the spirits of the wicked dead, like those just terribly awful wicked people who die. Their spirits get trapped here, and they're under judgment and a curse, and they just dwell here and they torment. And so for me in my paranormal investigation, because I don't see demons as inhuman spirits, it doesn't necessarily change how I deal with them, because for me as a Christian, I'm always coming in the authority and in the name of Jesus. Mm-hmm. But it does change how I perceive them and what I am dealing with. Mm-hmm. I see it more as I'm dealing with either, this is a quasi-divine, a demigod type thing, like we've kind of mentioned before in Greek literature, and the Nephilim were the half human, half angel giants, and their spirits die and they're left to roam the earth? Or am I dealing with just this extremely negative ghost? So it does kind of, not that it'll change your view on how you specifically deal with a demon spirit depending on what you're coming from, but it may change how you perceive them and what you're dealing with, if that makes sense.
It does. We have a few more statements. Kindred there says, something I found interesting was when Jesus supposedly cast a demon out of someone, but the Bible didn't say demon, it said unclean spirit.
Yep. Kindred Paranormal, that's exactly the point. That phrase, unclean spirit, comes from the book of Enoch. And in Enoch, the unclean spirits are the ghost of the Nephilim who died, the giants. And that same phrase is used in the Gospels, and that's why so many scholars today are coming down to the fact that demon spirits are not fallen angels, and the belief in Jesus's day and in the New Testament and in the early church that they were either the spirits of the Nephilim or they were the spirits of the very wicked dead people. But yes, that is a good observation.
Okay, here's one from Myers.
Yes, you break it down the best. Oh, okay. You're saying that about I do that?
Yeah, because you said obviously I've not got no questions while ago.
Yeah, I did say that. Thank you, Myers.
And then PW says they are originally called daemon in Latin. I'm not sure. I probably didn't say that right, but they are malicious spirit. Another part of the word.
Yeah.
Kindred says demons can be deities that were demonized by the church. Mm-hmm. What is your opinion?
Yeah, especially we did a lesson on that Greek word daemon, diamonoi, diamone, and there is a version of the Hebrew Bible that has been translated into Greek, and it's called the Septuagint. And this is the translation, this Greek translation of the Old Testament. This is a translation that a lot of the New Testament writers used. And when we did a segment on that translation, we talked about their use of the Greek word for demon and how it was this massive catch-all phrase that could refer to demigods. It could refer to different spiritual beings. It could refer to something evil. It could refer to something good. And so the misunderstanding comes in onto how that word was used in the Septuagint itself. And a lot of times they would use demon to refer to something because they didn't have a better word to try to translate this already confusing Hebrew term. And so the closest thing to it was the word demon in Greek, which had a huge umbrella of meaning that it could catch a whole bunch of things. And so what happens is we go back with our 21st century mindset of what we have been, what we have assigned the role of demons. Like in our mind, these are evil, malicious spirits that cause torment and harm. And we've taken that understanding and we carry it with us. And then we go back and read it into an ancient text when we see that Greek word demon, and it may not be referring to a malevolent spirit at all. So that is definitely something worth talking about. So.
Oh, I was going to say, but the biggest telltale that I can tell between demons and like a wicked person who has passed away and deciphering the difference between those is that, you know, an angry person who passed away is not going to have the strength to manifest as whatever they want. They're not going to have the ability to possess. Like, yes, they'll like to attack and torment, but they don't hold the same strength as demons to be able to take over our complete bodies.
Yeah. That's what we looked at on Sunday. We talked about the difference between demons and fallen angels, and we talked about that supernatural strength that these demons have. And if you look at that in terms of if these are spirits of the Nephilim, and you think of how big and powerful the Nephilim were, then it makes sense for them to have this stronger energy.
Yeah. See, that makes sense to me. Like that, I really would think demons are more the Nephilim that have passed away. Because like the fallen angels, you know, they're the watchers. They're out doing other stuff. Like they're not worried about tormenting us. They have bigger plans. You know?
Yeah.
That's the demons' jobs.
Yeah. And then, you know, it gets into some scholars try to say that the word demon in the Gospels and unclean spirits are referring to two different categories. And some argue that it's referring to the same. You know, I think it could be two different categories, especially if you take into account what we've said demon could refer to as spirits of the wicked dead, and the unclean spirits were a reference to Enoch. It could be that Jesus was casting out both of those things, or it could be, you know, terms that they use interchangeably. I don't know. I am still undecided on that.
PW says, I am here to learn and educate. That's it. I just like to hear Zeke give his lectures.
Thank you, PW.
CC says, yep, I appreciate all you're doing, Zeke, to educate us. And Miss Teresa says, I'm with you, PW. I love to hear Jared's give his talks too. Mr. Zeke.
Thank you.
And welcome. She stole my thunder. Welcome, welcome.
Did I miss? She stole my thunder?
Yep.
Where is it? I'm not seeing it.
Right here. There's.
Okay, yeah, I see it on the chat now. Hey, she stole my thunder.
I know, it's cute. Oh, I
You'll join us. We got any more questions or comments, folks?
Nothing so far.
All right. Just kind of give everybody a heads up while I'm thinking about it. This next week, we won't be having our Sunday night show. So no Book of Enoch this Sunday night. I'm going to be out of town with my kids. Bethany's going to be out of town with hers. We're meeting together. We're going to go be hanging out with Dustin. So we're kind of having like a family gathering. So we'll be hanging out with our kids this weekend. And then Tuesday is 4th of July. So we won't have Southern Discomfort on Tuesday night too. So y'all will get a break from me for an entire week that you'll have to go without seeing my hairy face.
No, everybody's going to be so sad.
I think they'll manage. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, we completely understand. And you and Bethany all have a great time with Dustin and the kiddos, and we're excited for you. And as far as Tuesday goes, there'll be so many fireworks going on left and right. Wouldn't nobody hear anything anyways.
Yep. So everybody enjoy your 4th of July weekend and enjoy your 4th of July. And
And y'all safe travels because you'll be traveling during that time.
Mhm.
You and Bethany.
Yep.
PW has a comment. It says, I have my different opinions about deities and ghosts. I respect them all, or all of them, and even if I don't agree with them.
Yeah. Anytime you deal with this, you have to be respectful to whatever type of entity you encounter.
Yeah, you never know what you're walking up on until the door's open already.
Exactly. And then Kindred said, PW, I understand the Abrahamic.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Christian side, but also the pagan side of discussions. I love them all. I can't lie. I love listening to it all.
Yeah, it's cool. Everybody coming up in here, having their different backgrounds and
yes
stuff.
Then Miss Teresa says, I will miss you, Zeke. Then the next week I'm on vacation. So 2 whole weeks. I don't know what I'll think about with the
Yeah, give your mind a break. There you go. Get refreshed for next time. We'll come back swinging. That's for sure. And hopefully, my goal is when we come back, the first show back for Southern Discomfort. Hopefully, I'll be able to finish that investigation out at that cemetery. Hopefully, we will have some dry weather.
Oh, I hope so. You gonna take Emma with you?
Yeah, Emma likes to go.
Y'all do good. Yeah, y'all do good together. I like watching little Emma get out there with you. I do.
Yeah, she'll be back singing next time too for Sunday nights.
Yeah, and I'm singing songs that I wrote. Too,
yeah, she wrote some songs. So.
Oh heck yeah! Well, our little she's got our angelic voice. We love it. Kindred said, "I respect all beliefs. That is a freedom we have. Absolutely."
Yep, and you'll definitely find that here in the chat and on the show, for sure. Yay! All right, PW, my tribute story. I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
I know PW's been promising that, so I'm ready to see what she's gonna put out there. Hey, PW, as long as there's is there a Winnebago in my tribute story? We're gonna have the Ecto-Bago.
Octagon. Love it. Guys, do y'all have any more questions or statements for Zeke? Or if y'all have any thoughts of a discussion y'all would like Zeke to think about for the future, post those for him.
Yes, or you can email them to me. At my email, ezekielkincade@gmail.com. So just my name and then at gmail.com. So if you email it, that way I can put it in a file and it'll be easier for me to keep up with. So if you have something that you want to hear discussed on the show that has to do with religion, the paranormal, spirituality, psychic phenomenon,
end times,
yeah, whatever, just, we have really no direction here on Southern Discomfort, so
wherever the Lord takes us.
Do you see what PW wrote?
Oh yes, there's 3. All right. It could be.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't see any more comments or statements, brother.
Well, all right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. So just again, a reminder, we'll be out Sunday and Tuesday, but we'll be getting geared up again after that. We'll keep y'all updated on Octagon Hall, and don't forget to stop by Godless. You can pick up some of my books. Everything that I make off of those go to my Winnebago fund to help me buy a 1985 Winnebago that I can take my fiance Bethany around in and really treat her like a queen. High profile.
That's all right. That's all right. P Dave asked a question. She wanted to know.
Yes.
Yeah, she wanted to know if you have a favorite angel.
I have always liked Uriel. I've always felt a connection with him, but also Raphael. I'd have to say those are my two favorite of the archangels. Now, as far as angels that I think look just absolutely terrifying and cool, those would be the cherubim, the throne guardians. You see those in Ezekiel chapter 1 and chapter 10. You also get a glimpse of them in the four living creatures in Revelation chapter 4. Those things are just awe-inspiring. But archangels, definitely Uriel and Raphael, for sure. Oh, you're welcome, Kindred. I'm glad you enjoyed it. The Zeke mobile. Yeah, that's nicer than some of the things it could be called. So, yep, there is PW's Instagram. For those of you on Instagram, go give her a follow. You can keep up with the stuff that she writes. So, all right. Anybody else? Any more questions before we close it out? All right, Vickie.
You want me to close it?
Yeah, I'm gonna see. We got the Never Give Up video to fire up here.
Yep, that's it.
All right. Well, everybody,
all right.
Thank you all for stopping in and hanging out with us, spending your Tuesday night with us. Thank you for everybody in chat, for participating. Thank you, PW, for holding it down. Thank you, Vickie, for helping me out here. As always, it is a huge team effort on everybody's part. So everybody in the PPR family, we love y'all. And thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us.
Much love. Good night, everybody.
Is this what giving up feels like? I don't know, I don't know. Tell me, have I lost my mind? Nowhere to go, so far from home. Is this what giving up feels like? I don't know, I don't know. Tell me, have I lost my mind? So I break these walls and hold my head up high, and I stand my ground until the day I die. As the rain falls down, there's no more tears to cry, tears to cry. So I break these walls and hold my head up high. No, I'm not giving in. No, I'm not giving in.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.